Hello, March the 22nd, 2020. This is Tabs. The time is coming up to 7 o'clock in the evening. Well, I've discovered some food, frozen mints and an OXO cube. So I've eaten for the first time in 5 days properly. I've still not gone out the ass in 5 days. Apart from Friday when the cleaner came round and I could take a bag of rubbish out. And I'm still waiting for... Well, I've run out of most daily basics. I've got a little bit of bleach left, but that's going to go next couple of days. Milk, gone. Cat litter, got 1 bag yesterday, can't get any more. So God knows what's going to happen with that. I've got about 5 days of cat food left. Yes, I'm more worried about the cats than I am myself. Thank you very much, everyone. I found that day from Karen Bellamy. Oh, this is a good one. The councillor who was here 3 years ago supporting our Stuart, who at the time was stoned off his face, and there's a video, I've downloaded it and I've reposted it onto the councillor's website, because she came onto my post about not getting any support and being attacked by my neighbours, etc, etc, and she just happened to put her penalty in, and I said, aren't you the one that was condoning drug use a few years ago? And she said, no, that wasn't me. So I went onto her Facebook page, downloaded the video off her page and reposted it on my post and said, so this isn't you. And it actually mentions her by name and visually she's in the video. So how many people are going to lie to me? It's like the staircase, still blocked, still got tat outside. It should be absolutely clear because it's a fire escape. The council do nothing. I'm only supported by the actual services. Police, fire, ambulance, they're the only ones that support me. The council don't get any assessment for social services. I'm too well to be taken care of, but I'm too ill to take care of myself. And all I get is attitude from people. People that are supposed to be helping you. For instance, in passing, when I called Karen Bellamy today, I said, it's more than just what's going on. It goes back for years. It goes back to the day I moved in and I was told, people weren't allowed dogs and there's dozens of dogs on the estate. And Karen's attitude was, how does that affect you? Not, oh, I'm sorry, we'll have a look into that. Oh, how does that affect you? As though, yeah, there might be dogs on the estate, but there's not much we can do about it. And yet, for 18 months, the woman who came up to me within 2 hours of me moving in and said she weren't entitled to a dog, had a dog for 18 months, in pain, with a cancer on its back leg. Or at least it looked like a cancer. It was great big bulbous and it couldn't walk. To me, that looked like a cancer. Didn't see him going for any treatments. Didn't see him being taken to the vets. Didn't see him resting up because he couldn't walk properly. No, she would take him for a walk regardless, every day. He was hobbling along, suffering. No one did a thing. Dog on the estate, barking. For months and months, and it only got sorted out in January when the police came to take it away after it bit someone. And yet we've all been complaining about that dog. Not about the dog, about the owners. Not the dog's fault. It's stuck out on a balcony 24/7 with nothing but a bowl out there in the summer. a bowl of water, I imagine, I hope. If it's dog biscuits, then the poor dog was even worse. So having word with this Karen Bellamy, she said that Martin Easom, the chief exec, has passed it to someone in assets. I think she's above housing, which isn't the section I need it to be investigated by, because housing is the problem. I need it to go to another directorate. Oh, it doesn't work like that, Mr. Gibbons, I was told. So if there's a fault in a directorate that's affecting my mental health, I have to keep going back to that directorate to have my complaint dealt with. How stupid does that sound? Yes, normally a complaint goes to the directorate to which you're complaining. But if you're complaining constantly about that directorate, surely a neutral directorate or the chief exec's office, as the head of complaints in most councils, I haven't really looked through the tree of seniority and where complaints is, but normally the complaints is dealt with by the chief exec's office. It's a sub-department of the chief execs. And so if a complaint is about a directorate, it should be dealt with directly by the chief exec, in my book. No, according to everyone, and I think they're talking out their arse, if you pardon the French, you have to go to the directorate to which you're complaining. But I'm not complaining to housing. I'm complaining about housing. It's a bit like when I complain about my housing officer. Can you imagine what would happen if my complaint had to go to my housing officer to be investigated? That is stupid. That is not logical, and I don't think it's right. So we'll see. But the name sort of rings a bell as well, because the name of the person that's calling me tomorrow, apparently, sounds like the same woman that wouldn't give me a direct answer in a question in a public meeting in September, just across the road, about dogs on the estate. She spent 4.5 minutes. I timed her 4.5 minutes not giving me an answer to are dogs allowed on the estate. And after 4.5 minutes, I said, you still haven't answered the question. Are dogs allowed on the estate? And she wouldn't answer it. So it's not looking like a good meeting lined up for tomorrow. So not only do I have Asperger's and anxiety, and I've got fear of that endangerment from being in the flat because the place has a blocked fire escape, or at least an endangered fire escape, should be clear. Fire escape. Fire, danger, escape, route out the building. Not fire escape means, oh, let's use it as storage because no one's really using it, and this bit outside my flat no one should be walking past, apart from everyone below me because I'm on the top floor. So I've got to walk past all of them. And the only one that has taken the stuff out is the bloke I've been complaining about with the drugs on the bottom. He took his shoe straight in as soon as the letter landed. That same day. So I'm beginning to, warm to Stuart. I mean, he's been behaving himself for the last few months as well. So, as long as he's keeping himself to himself, which he is, I haven't got a problem with him. It's only when it overspills into the public area. That's the only time I've got a problem with him. If he's doing drugs, fine. Do it in his own place. Don't do it around children. Don't do it in public areas. And certainly don't run groups if you're on drugs. That is just daft. Very much like people nowadays. Playground behind me, full today with children and families. In groups of like 2 or 3 families at a time. And all the kids are mixing. That's what I mean. People around here, some people around here, don't give a monkeys about society. They just worry about themselves. And it's not good enough. What this curfew, which I think is coming in tomorrow, is going to prove is that there's a lot of people out here that will not be told what to do. And I can see the police being really busy when the curfew comes in. And I don't think we're far off it now. I reckon Monday, Boris Johnson is going to issue some sort of restricted hours. They should have brought a curfew in ages ago. Should have brought a curfew in and locked all the businesses down, all businesses, so that everyone stayed home. There was no excuse to go in anywhere. We've still got construction sites with people on buses and trains. Construction isn't an essential service. You might feel it is because you've got family to feed. Don't worry about it. The government will take care of you. If you're here legally. You see, that is the thing. If you're not here legally, no one knows anything about you. You can't claim any state benefit. So what are you going to do? Why work in a country illegally and then you're going to have to suffer? You, the illegal people in this country, the illegal workers, all the Brazilians and Filipinos that are here doing childcare and things like that, illegally. People overstaying their visas, working. They're going to, when eventually it gets around to them, because at the moment they're normally in fairly secure jobs, but eventually when the money starts running out and they can't afford to pay you, you're going to be on your ear. You'll have no compensation. You won't be able to claim any of this handout that we've been issued yesterday, I think it was. Yeah. No, Friday. Yeah, Friday I think the measures were. So you won't be able to claim all that, so you won't be able to live. Unless you've been stockpiling money, which you should have been anyway. But most people have been sending it wherever it is. So that's another issue that, people are going to need to have resolved. Do we just... you can't even pay for people to go back anymore because a lot of airlines are now cancelling flights. So we are going to be stuck with people in this country that aren't here legally, but they can't do anything about it now. So what do we do about that? Do we have an outright moratorium and say, right, everyone in the country now is entitled to stay, get your passport stamped if you're here now? If you're going to have a moratorium, now would be the best time to do it. Because with the airlines shutting down and the ports shutting down, you can't get an influx of more people. So if you are going to have a moratorium, do it now. Let everyone stay. I'm not in total agreement of everyone staying, only because of the infrastructure problem. But they're going to need support. As much as, someone that's entitled to stay here, if you're here, it's like I was speaking to someone the other day that's here looking after, elderly people. They're in care, most of these people. They're not just nannies and childminders, they're in care. And they're looking after us, normally. So if they are looking after us, then surely we should take care of them. Let them stay. Simplify Brexit and just stamp everyone's passport who's in the passport in country now. Let them stay. Let them be entitled to benefits. Not entitled to bring everyone else in their family over as well. But let them have the right to remain. And then we don't have to worry about all this Brexit nonsense. And we don't have to worry about, all these people that are not entitled to benefits, but they're going to be starving in a few weeks' time. They'll all be British. They'll all appreciate the fact that you've entitled them to stay. It might not be the British thing to do, but it's the social thing to do. And only a proper racist would say, no, don't let them stay, let them starve. We're going to have to do something. This is Britain, after all. We don't let people starve. Not normally. If there's a need out there, we help them. Self-employed people. Maybe an average of the last 12 months and give them 80% of that, excluding expenses. because I've done contracting, I've known contractors, and some of the expense claims are a bit bogus. From others, I was always claiming the least amount at all. I was always getting my umbrella company saying, do you want to put some more expenses in? And it's like, no, not really. This is all I've actually bought. So let's do away with all this. Stay in the country. Everyone here entitled to stay if you want to. If not, you're not going to get forced. But the opportunity is there, I would say. That would resolve an awful lot of problems overnight. Self-employed people take care of the average of their last 12 months. We do need a curfew. Not 24 hours, but in effect 24 hours. I think we're going to need a curfew sort of restricting when people can go out. Which sounds daft because that sounds like what a curfew is. But a curfew normally tells you when you have to stay home. But I would do it the other way around. I would say you're staying home unless it's between 1 and 3 in the afternoon when you can go within a mile or half a mile just to the local shops. And if you haven't got local shops within a mile, then you go onto some sort of government website, register that you can't get out for food, and it will be taken care of. Somehow. I mean, at the moment, people will be running out of money within the next few weeks, especially the employed. And it's going to take a few weeks for the government to get this package in. So I think it's about time that the grocery chain was taken over by the government in a wartime-like basis. So basically they take over the supply of food. You can't buy food anymore. And it's all... You can buy food online via a government website. And it's supplied for by your nearest shop. Whatever it is. Everyone in the land. And we're talking like corner shops, national retailers, the lot. All on by the government. This is the only way it's going to work, because otherwise people are going to hoard. People are hoarding. We already know this. And the only way to cut down the panic is to cut down the anxiety. People are anxious. They've not got enough nappies, not got enough milk, not got enough toilet roll. All first world countries. I don't see them worrying about toilet roll in Africa. I mean, they're more worried about their lives because they've got quite a few people at risk in Africa. But it needs to be nationalised, at least for the foreseeable future. The retail chain, grocery retail chain, needs to be nationalised. And then you are rationed food and clothing and toiletries and all that sort of stuff. It's rationed out. People can't afford to pay for it anyway now. Not until the government starts doing that. So for the next month, it should be restricted access to food for key workers. They can go into the supermarkets and do what they want because they are there 24/7. We have to work around the key workers, not around people crying out, oh, I've got none of this or none of that. You know, tin tuna isn't important when you got half a lung full of fluid. So, you know, let the key workers, hospital workers, medics, firefighters, police, ambulance, delivery drivers, because without delivery drivers we're not going to get anything. And that includes HGV drivers, the lot. Let them have the first bite at the cherry. I think this country has bought enough food in the last few weeks. Whether it's been shared out equally or not, I think it's about time the key workers had a chance. Because I can imagine a lot of key workers are now doing their job 24/7 on really long shifts and they're hungry. They don't know where they're going to get fed because the shelves are empty. Keep everyone away. Key workers only. Even if only in certain stores. In fact, I would go so far as to say the key workers should be getting the food first, delivered to their places of work. So, hospitals, etc., big places like hospitals, medical centres and that, they get food parcels delivered. Enough to keep the staff running at least. And the key workers should be getting the parcels first, until the supply chain is worked out. I mean, you can't trust a lot of people in Britain to do the right thing. Boris Johnson realises that, and you can see by his reaction on the news conferences he's giving, he's fed up with it all. And I don't blame him. I think Boris is doing a cracking job, but some people aren't making it easy for everyone. And they're the people we need to weed out. If they're hoarding, there should be anti-hoarding laws like there was in the First and Second World Wars. If they're hoarding and they're not going to share the food out, then some action needs to be taken. Unfortunately, some people, a lot of people, will not do anything unless action is taken. People having last-minute binge drinks on Friday before the pub shut. People going out to the park on Saturday and Sunday, or to the beach, or to the seaside, or going out in family groups. It's posted all over Facebook. Oh, we're cycling, 15 miles and we're having a picnic. Well, cycling 15 miles technically may be keeping 2 meters distance. But do you realise if you're cycling behind people, you're still breathing their breath in at 15 miles an hour? That 2 meters gets shortened to probably about 2 foot. So just because you're on a bike travelling at 15 miles an hour over 2 meters apart does not make you safe. And furthermore, if you think about it, all you're doing is spreading the infection further around. Instead of being isolated in your own little area, you're going outside your area and spreading the infection. You've only got to go past someone's garden, and they're sort of like in their garden, and they'll get infected. If you're infected, they'll get infected. So, no cycling journeys, please. No picnics. No play days over the park. Councils, please lock all your parks down. I've had it with my council. They won't even lock children's playgrounds down when they say they're going to lock children's playgrounds down before there's a virus outbreak. And so people are using it as a dog litter training colony for children's play area. Waltham Forest, you should be ashamed of yourself. I mean, I like the borough and I like the council and they're really helpful. Except for the vulnerable. Children. People like me. People with autism. People with disabilities. Because I've been trying to champion the cause of people like me since I've been here. Fighting for disabled access. Fighting for disabled parking bays. Trying to get children's play areas locked when they're supposed to be locked. Trying to get dogs kept out of children's play areas. But Waltham Forest, time and time again, have turned me away. They've said no and they've ignored my requests. And in one stage, in 1 week, I went from, yes, we are locking the play area, to, oh no, they're old signs and we're not enforcing them. And they can't afford to take the signs down. We shall see what Waltham Forest Council have to say after Boris Johnson's speech tomorrow. Because I think things will change quickly now. There's been people over the park behind me. And it's only a small park. There's been people over there all day. There's been kids out all day. Playing with each other. Do parents not actually want their children around? Is it more global? Hello, Caspy. My little baby, you see. Caspy, Tabs. Merlin's coming across.
Even train really at the moment, given what's happening in the world, and
Sorry, that's Caspi turning the speaker on. So, someone needs to sort something out, because this is just getting pathetic now. I look forward to what Waltham Forest have got to say tomorrow. But if it's anything like what Karen Bellamy told me today, then I'm just going to have to escalate this up, because a fire escape needs to be kept clear at all times. No doormats, no shoes, no prams, no bikes, no anything. If I can do it, why can't anyone else? And furthermore, if I'm not getting much joy tomorrow, I'll be putting a request in to have the whole estate inspected by the fire brigade. Because if this block is in breach of fire regulations, I've been in some of the other blocks, they're in breach as well. I want the whole estate inspected. Instead of just dealing with one stairwell, they'll be dealing with 40 or 50 of them. And checking all the fire doors are secure and safe. This is what happens when people ignore me. I'll just carry on. I know I'm right. Okay, I told a councillor that she was a fucking idiot, if pardon the French. But I'm sorry, after 3 days of chasing to get someone to talk to me, and she emails me because she can't be bothered to pick the phone up, she emails me about the COVID-19 outbreak, and she thinks that I'm the one panicking about COVID-19. I think the words fucking idiot were appropriate for Rosalind Doré. Even one of the other councillors called her Door. So where's this Doré come from? I don't know. But if you don't answer the question I put to you, you're an idiot. And if you're constantly doing it, you're a fucking idiot. It's just classification to me. And politicians, this is a good one. I had the invisible councillor phone me today, this afternoon. About 3, I think it was. 3:30, something like that. And my first question to him, because I didn't even think he existed. I was about to put a complaint in saying someone's, doing a blinder with a false person and, splitting the expenses. And he phones up. And my first question to him was, where have you been for 2 years? Because I've not seen you at any of the meetings. That's all I said. Silence for 15 seconds. Asked him again, and he carried on talking over me. And I said, excuse me, just answer the question. Where have you been for the last 2 years? Because I haven't seen you at the public meetings. He was apparently at the Christmas party. No public meetings, but at the Christmas party. According to one of the council staff there. And he wouldn't answer me. So unless he can answer a straightforward question, there's no point him giving me platitudes because no one else wants to deal with me, because no one wants to read the emails that I send and answer the emails rather than answer what they think I'm asking. Rosalind Doré, for example, several times in the last 13 months, I've complained about disabled parking on the estate. We've actually got disabled bays on this estate with bollards next to them. Every time I chase Rosalind about it, she asks me to remind her what the actual question is. And I'm sorry, after 4 or 5 times, I'm not going to remind you. I'm going to call you a fucking idiot. Because you should have a record. You shouldn't have to ask the customer all the time about what you're supposed to have been doing. 8 days ago, I went to her surgery. Rosalind Doré went to her surgery. I mentioned quite a few things, including the fire escape. And she said, oh yes, a letter went out about that. I saw that. It's good that it's all clear now then. She was assuming it was clear without even checking or asking the residents. I said, what's clear about it? All they've done is ignore it. The only one that hadn't ignored it was the one I originally complained about 18 months ago, who's now behaving himself. Oh, So 8 days ago, I was going to get an email on Monday. She was going to chase it up. You know, like the disability conference and housing conference. That was coming up. I'll get back to you on that one. She never gets back to you. Not unless you start chasing and chasing and chasing. And this is what I've had enough of. I've have to complain about my housing officer to get anything done. I have to chase Rosalind Dore to get anything done. I'm promised things that don't get delivered. Letters are written putting my health and safety in danger by the council, and nothing gets done. I'm treated like an idiot by my housing officer and nothing gets done. And now I'm referred back to housing about my housing complaint. And people wonder why I've got an attitude. Even the councillor this afternoon, Karen Bellamy, said, do you think it's something to do with your communication attitude? I said, you try doing this for 2 years and then see if you have an attitude at the end of it. So another day without going out. I'm stockpiling rubbish in the hallway because I won't even put rubbish in the staircase because I know how dangerous rubbish in the staircase is. But no, I'm not supposed to complain about the staircase. We're supposed to just let Grenfell Tower happen time and time again. Lessons will be learnt, they said, after each child abuse victim. Lessons will be learnt after each ferry disaster. Lessons will be learnt about every plane crash. Lessons will be learnt after every tower block that's collapsed or gone up in flames. When will lessons be learnt? I think I'll sign off. I don't want to make it a long one tonight, so I'll sign off for now. And I'll be back probably tomorrow with another supplement. Good evening.